Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your spoilers for TNA Impact Wrestling for February 13th and February 20th. And thanks to Jeffrey who sent in the following report from the tape from Manchester, England. This will air on February 13th. And the show starts off with Austin Aries defeating Kazarian in a match taped for Explosion, which is what you call an internet / dark match. Dixie Carter, Magnus, Ethan Carter III, and Rockstar Spud kicked off Impact. Team Dixie is once again met by huge heat. The correspondent was surprised that the UK fans booed Magnus as bad as they did, as Magnus praised Dixie. MVP interrupted to a big pop. MVP then spoke on the stage, ran down Dixie, and says that she has excess miles, wear and tear on her. Out comes Gunner and Samoa Joe. Gunner spoke and will be catching in his world title briefcase in 1 week. He says MVP rips, as he said, MVP then ripped on Ethan Carter and calls him C-3PO from the Star Wars characters, which gets a huge reaction as MVP makes a match Gunner versus Ethan in a ladder match with Gunner's world title briefcase and Ethan's tag title briefcase on the line. And that match is up next. The crew quickly hung both briefcases from the chain and brought out ladders. James Storm and Magnus ended up getting involved. MVP came out and made it Gunner and Storm versus Magnus and Ethan in a ladder match with both briefcases on the line. Gunner and Storm got the win when Gunner climbed up and got the briefcases. Apparently, even though it was a tag match, only Gunner or Ethan could be the winners. There was once again tension between Ethan and Magnus. The Wolves and Samoa Joe defeated Zema Ion and Bromans in what was described as an amazing performance by Joe and the Wolves. And we get Bully Ray versus Mr. Anderson. Wait for it. Anderson. And a casket match was announced for later. Abyss came out and he's not wearing his mask. So it looks like we got Joseph Park and Abyss in the Abyss attire, because the promo says Abyss is back before calling out Eric Young. They have words, but Abyss takes off the hoodie and apparently has a soft side now. It looks like Abyss and Young are back on good terms. Well, after that, MVP had a match with Rockstar Spud. Not much saying to that. Squish. Squish splash. Might as well say splish splash. Send him to the bath. Chris Sabin versus Velvet Sky was up next. The match doesn't happen as German women's wrestler took his spot in the match and now is his bodyguard. And her name is Alpha Female, as she debuted and took out Velvet. And your men's main event was Mr. Anderson versus Bully Ray in a casket match, which was the next match, as Bully got an instant heat by wearing a Liverpool jersey out. And the match was described as a really good brawl with chairs and tables used, but a screwy finish as Anderson ended up getting the win by hitting a mic check into the coffin. And the main event ended up to be a knockouts match. Gail Kim defeating Madison Rayne in a street fight. It wasn't said whether it was a title match or not. And that concluded the 13th results. And now for the 20th. Same person sent in, Jeffrey. And still in Manchester, England. And this for the February 20th results. Impact opened with Magnus, Dixie Carter, Ethan Carter III, and Rockstar Spud again. More heat from for Magnus and the paper champion chance. And we get MVP interrupting again and came to the ring this time. He got a big pop when he says Magnus is as popular as David Moyes, but I don't even know who that is. Team Dixie versus Team MVP was announced for a 4-on-4 match at Lockdown, and we will find out who the participants tonight. But it looks like it's going to be Team MVP is MVP, the Wolves, and Gunner, as MVP also got a yes chant going. And then we got Gunner cashing in his world title briefcase on Magnus for later in the show. We got a promo from Bobby Roode on the big screen, and Jane Storm also appeared apparently with him, and they teased getting back together in the near future. That'll probably be a backstage segment, from what I was reading. And Samoa Joe defeated Zema Ion and Bromance in a 3-on-1 handicap match. The American Wolves, now known as the Wolves, as Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards versus Kazarian and Daniels, was announced for later. Then there's an in-ring segment with Dixie Carter and Bobby Roode. Apparently, they're using a storyline that Bobby Roode's contract is up or is expiring very soon. And so Dixie is, according to correspondent, noting that the fans were chanting for Roode to stay and for beer money to reunite, thus being heels this time. Dixie offers Roode 10% of the company if he will captain her team at Lockdown against Team MVP, and Roode accepts. Then we get the Wolves defeating Kazarian and Daniels. Not much how they won, but they just won. Magnus defeated Gunner in the main event with the World Heavyweight title on the line as James Storm turned on Gunner for the interference again. So you got Magnus still champion going into Lockdown pay-per-view. And that ends the Impact results and spoilers for February 13th and February 20th. Thanks again. Peace out. God bless.